So first of all, this all comes from Season 3, Episode 10, and the Woodsa. Hey guys, what's up? It's Julie. Today I am here for our Librarians speculation theory video. This is a theory that I've seen floating around a lot on Tumblr, on Twitter, in the fandom in general. It's a theory that I think I first saw on Tumblr, and then when I saw the suggestion on Tumblr, I started thinking about it on my own, and now every time I watch any episode of the Librarians, I think, wow, there's more evidence to support this theory. I'm always thinking about this theory, and I really think it's going to be true, and that is the Judson theory, also known as R. Eve and Flynn, Charlene, and Judson. This theory suggests basically what it sounds like it suggests, that Eve and Flynn are the next Charlene and Judson. How Charlene and Judson were the first librarian and guardian who turned immortal and stayed with the librarian for all the millennia that it was operating, until they died recently. The theory is that Eve and Flynn are that new immortal librarian and guardian. And this is not just a theory because it would make sense and it would be cool because of the show being about what it's about. It would make sense for Eve and Flynn to end up in a place like that. Well, that is a piece of evidence, and that's where the theory starts. That's not the only thing. There's actually a lot of moments in a bunch of the episodes and a lot of facts about this show that make it very likely that this is actually a thing. So basically, I'm going to go through with you today all the evidence that I have realized for why I think that Eve and Flynn are Charlene and Judson, and some of it is really wow. So let's discuss. So the first piece of evidence comes from something directly in one of the episodes that has been said but has not been further explained or addressed yet. This is in Season 3, Episode 4, and the Self-Fulfilling Prophecy, when the Grim Reaper tells Eve that she's like a special guardian. Jake and Ezekiel try to sacrifice themselves and have the Grim Reaper take their life in exchange for Eve's, but she's like, no, because 10 librarians would not be worth this one guardian. And she says that this guardian has a destiny. This guardian is special. So what is it about Eve that makes her so destined for greatness, that makes her so much more special than any of the other guardians to ever exist in the entirety of the library? We don't know yet, but a good idea for that is that Eve is the next Charlene, because Charlene was the first guardian, and now Eve has this great destiny? I mean, come on. Even if it's not that she's Charlene, I really want to know what Eve's destiny is, and I hope that comes up in Season 4. Speaking of Eve and unanswered questions, there's also the fact that Charlene whispered something to Eve before she went into the mirror. We don't know what Charlene whispered to Eve, but Eve looked concerned. It wasn't a positive, happy little message. And we know she didn't tell Eve about the Eye of Ra, because in the next episode, Eve does not know about the Eye of Ra when the time comes. So, what does Charlene tell Eve when she whispers in her ear and Eve, stumbles back all concerned? Is it possible that Charlene told Eve, this is your library now, this is your job now, I'm your job now, it's time to move on? Something like that. We think, maybe, possibly. It's a suggestion, but it's okay, and now it's about to get real. So to start things off, we'll also say that Eve is this destined special guardian, and Flynn has been the librarian longer than anybody else already. We know that Flynn is the longest lasting librarian. When the show started, he's got 10 years. He's probably got about 12 years now. If we're going off a basic timeline that the show has slightly given us a sketch of, we can assume that the first 3 seasons take place over the course of about 2 years, maybe a little bit more. So Flynn has been the librarian for at least 12 years. He's survived death. He's survived a lot of things, and he's gone through a lot. And so they say that Flynn is a special librarian because he's done most of it alone without a guardian, and he's been the librarian longer than anybody else, and there's a lot of references to him being the greatest librarian, or it's assumed that he's the greatest librarian ever. So, why is that unless he's the next Judson? And Flynn was like a son to Judson, so it makes sense that Judson's legacy would be passed on to Flynn if he is the longest lasting librarian. But again, those are just suggestions of why it might be. That's not like hard evidence of metaphors and symbolism and parallels that we're really gonna get to here, because When I realized these things on my own, I was mind blown. Those first few things are things that, like, are basically thrown around the fandom of why even Flynn or probably Charlene and Judson, but these things really, like, I noticed them when I was rewatching episodes or whatever, and they are seriously whoa. In Season 3, Episode 10, and the Wrath of Chaos, in the middle of even Flynn's little mission, trickery, foolery, whatever, Flynn sends the Lits off to free Jenkins and says, tell Jenkins about what's going on, and he can initiate the failsafe, because now that Charlene and Judson are gone, Jenkins is the only one who knows the failsafe. And then they get to Jenkins, and Jenkins says only Charlene and Judson knew the failsafe. Like, only Charlene and Judson. Nobody knows the failsafe. That kind of seems like a problem, considering that, like, the failsafe might be needed again. But, oh well, nobody knows the failsafe but Charlene and Judson, and you can't find it anywhere. Then, later on in the episode, even Flynn say to the Lits, you were our failsafe. It was a plan that the two of them created together, and I'm sure that Charlene and Judson created the original failsafe. But this plan that happened in the Wrath of Chaos is a plan that even Flynn devised together. And they say to the Lits, it was a failsafe plan. You were our failsafe. So even Flynn in that mission knew the failsafe, and only Charlene and Judson know the failsafe. And then, finally, one that I've realized about the show in general is that Charlene and Judson are the first librarian and guardian, meaning they raised and fostered the library. They brought it to what it is now. They raised countless librarians. They fostered countless librarians and guardians, made the library what it became. When Eve comes in, and Charlene disappears, Judson's dead, the library's gone now, Flynn and Eve are together, and Flynn and Eve together usher in a new age of the library. Flynn creates new rules. Flynn says there can be more than one librarian. We're going to change the librarian. The library is going to be a team. He and Eve change this library together. Together, he and Eve raise and foster new librarians. They've already done that, and bring them to be great librarians. Together, he and Eve create a new system in the library, a new way of running things. They create the library as it is at this point, and Charlene and Judson created the library. I just want to say, like, what kind of parallel is that? I want to know if this is not true, if this is not happening, then what the hell is going on down there? I know I like to overthink things. I overthink a lot. I overanalyze. I freely admit it. But really, like, this is too much. This is too much to ignore. And I'm not ignoring it anymore. I don't know if it's going to happen in Season 4. I don't know if it's planned down the line. Like, I think they have a 5-year plan. So it's probably planned for, like, the 5th season. Hopefully they get the 5 seasons because they do have a 5-year plan. But maybe we'll see more evidence when Season 4 starts. So that's it. That's my theory that even Flynn will become mortal and will become the next Charlene and Judson. Let me know what you think about this theory in the comments below. Additionally, for this video, put a poll on Twitter a couple of weeks ago that said, what would you like my next video to be? I think it would be fun to start doing that again for the Lits so you guys could decide what I talk about each week. So each week at the end of the video, you will find a poll on my Twitter account, Bookworm1018, where you can decide what the next Sunday's video will be. For next week, you have a choice between my top 10 Librarians episodes, finally, a review of The Librarians and the Lost Lamp that I read back in January, or a video all about Flynn Carson and why I love him as much as I do. Go ahead and vote on twitter.com, bookworm1018. You can find the poll there. At the top of my account, it'll be the pinned tweet, and you can decide what I talk about with you next week. Until then, you can follow me on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads. All links are in the description. Thank you for watching. As always, please remember to like and subscribe, and stay magical, my Lits. Bye-bye! So, I'm gonna shake it out. I haven't done this in a while. Shake it out. Shake it out. This theory basically suggests exactly what, oh my god. This piece of off in the middle of the trick to tell Judson about what happened.